What it do, what it do, what it do there, peeps. How's everybody doing this wonderful, wonderful Monday? I know you're back at work, and so we come on here just to give you some encouragement, just to give you a little push on your Monday. I know sometimes Monday can be a little drag off the weekend and everything, and so we're just here just to give you some encouragement. So if you're rocking with us, if you're watching us, go ahead, whether you're on Facebook, on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you go ahead and comment and let us see the comments right below and everything. And so we're super excited to have each and every one of you on here. I'm Roman D, and welcome to the shift. Welcome to the shift, where a shift today can change your later or even your tomorrow. And so we're super excited. I'm going to be getting on here probably every day this week. This past Sunday, I'll be honest with you, I was really frustrated. I was really frustrated. I was really upset because we had some sound issues, and we wasn't able to record the message this past Sunday. We wasn't able to stream online and people hear our microphones and things of that nature. So I was just extremely upset because I felt like we let people down. I felt like people was wanting to hear the word but couldn't hear the word, and so I was just beating myself up. And through that beating up myself, we understand Sunday was Father's Day, and I got the best gift I could ever get. It was only one thing that could make that gift better. Most of my babies, all but one, would came over and we just hung out, we laughed, we talked, and everything. And it was just a great, great Father's Day, even though it started off wrong, even though it started off rocky. And sometimes we can go through life and we can experience things, and things can be bad that can happen in our life. And it takes our focus off of really what we should appreciate. I could have been so wrapped up in what I was going through. I could have been so wrapped up in the audio not working. I could have been so wrapped up that people didn't get to hear the message that God had placed in my spirit. Well, not everybody, but the people online. I could have got wrapped up in things not going the way I necessarily wanted them to go, and allowed that to affect my day. I could have allowed that to affect my encounter, and spending time with my family and spending time with my wife and my children. I could have allowed that to take me out of the moment. So many times when we talk about fathers, many people don't really understand what fathers go through. They don't understand the struggles of a father. One of the things that I talked about last night was I talked about how when men, we don't really understand the authority that we walk in. We don't understand the power that we walk in. We don't understand really the weight that we carry. The other day, my son was jumping in our bed. He was up there with my wife, and he was jumping in the bed. He just kept jumping and jumping and jumping, and she tried to get him to stop, but she couldn't. He couldn't. He was just going, and all I did was show up. I walked in the room. When I walked into the room, things changed. When I walked into the room, he stopped jumping, all because daddy showed up. Because daddy showed up. And I don't know what man is going to hear this. I don't know what man is going to come across this, but I need you to know, as a father, you are important. You are valuable. You are significant. You bring something to the table that nobody else could bring. You bring value, you bring worth. I know a lot of times we talk about how mothers are important and how mothers are valuable and how mothers bring stuff, and they absolutely do. But at that same level, fathers bring something different. And there may be a father who come across this who may have been feeling as if you're not important or you're not significant because you don't get the pat on the backs, you don't get the hand claps, you don't get what mothers get, but yet the role you play is so significant. I said this on yesterday. I said your presence is more important than your presence. Your presence is more important than your presence. What do I mean by that? You being there is more valuable than the things that you can give. You being present in the moment in your family, you being showing up for your family means more than any gift that you can give them, means more than any money that you can leave them. Because the truth of the matter is, if you're not there as a father, there's a hole in that family. If you're not there as a father, there is something valuable that is missing. And so I need every father, I need every man to understand and to know that you are important, you are valuable, you are needed, you are loved by God, you are loved by your family. I know you don't hear it a whole lot. I know you don't hear thank you a whole lot. I know it's a thankless position, but yet it's a position that God has created you. God has strengthened you. God has made you the missing piece, the missing voice in your family. And if you were not there, your family would have a void. You know, we've heard men say things like, a man got to do what a man got to do. And many times what they mean by that is that because they're trying to provide for their family, they're making an excuse on going out and doing something illegal. And when they go out and do something illegal, they put their freedom in jeopardy. They put their life in jeopardy. And you going out because you're saying a man's got to do what a man's got to do, and you're going out and you're putting your life on the line, you're putting your freedom on the line, you're putting you being there for your daughters, and you being there for your sons, and you're being there for your women, and you're being there for your family in jeopardy because you feel like a man's got to do what a man's got to do. And the truth of the matter is, what you have done is you value what you can give to your family more than you value you. Because you go out and you get yourself incarcerated, you get yourself arrested, or worse than that, you lose your life because you're doing something illegal, and they lose the most precious, the most valuable thing they had, not what you can give to them, but losing you. You as a man must understand and know your presence is important. Your presence is powerful. You showing up, you being there is more important than anything that you can give them, anything that you can buy them. And there may be some men that say, hey, I got my family covered. If I ever lose my life, I got life insurance. If I were to lose my life, they would get paid. But no matter how much money they would get, it would never fill the void that they would have in their life with you not there. I think the enemy has attacked men so much that we make it feel like that he's made it feel like that if we're not there, if we leave our family stuff, then they'll be all right. And that can be that is furthest from the truth. You as a man, you as a father are so important. We could see this even in the Bibles. You see God say he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham was there for Isaac. Isaac was there for Jacob. It allowed them to grow. It allowed them to be the man. We see the struggles that David had because he really didn't have a relationship with his father. Remember David? Remember David? Samuel comes and he comes to anoint the next king, but he hides it by saying, "Hey, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna celebrate with this family." David doesn't even get invited. And here's the crazy thing: when Samuel comes, he says, "Hey, ain't none of these sons the sons that God's telling me to anoint to be king? Do you got another son?" Jesse says, I got one, but he's the youngest and he tends the sheep. Watch this. Be careful about this because what he does is he shows the lack of knowing who David is. He doesn't say, "Oh, yeah, I got another son, David, who's out there tending the sheep and he's the youngest." He identifies him with his position in the family. Oh my goodness. He doesn't identify by his name. He identifies him by his position in the family. He says he's the youngest and he's tending the sheep. Those two in those days and time were not high praise. It wasn't the best thing to be the youngest. It wasn't the best thing to be the one who tended the sheep. This is the reason why he gave the job to David. He gave the job to David because there was no real connection between them two. Now, here's the thing that'll blow your mind. David's name literally means beloved. David's name literally means beloved, beloved of God. And so when he didn't call him by his name, he was literally saying, "I don't even recognize that he's the beloved. I don't love David on the same level as I love my other children." And there are men, there are fathers, there are people out there under the sound of my voice who felt the same way, who you was not the beloved of your family. You didn't get the round of applause. You didn't get the wonderful sayings and the pouring into, but yet you felt like the unloved one. You felt like the outcast. You felt like the reject. You felt like the one no one really loved. And there are men who are walking around who are who are performing at a high level, but feeling like they're not the beloved. There are men, there are fathers who are busting their butt and sacrificing in areas that their wife and their children will never ever know. But yet they find themselves struggling because they don't feel like they're the beloved of God. They don't feel like they're the beloved of their family. And so they suffer in silence because many of them are like David. People see what you do for them, but they don't know who you are. Oh my goodness. If you on here, I dare you to put that was a good one. People see what you do for them, but they don't know who you are. One of the greatest struggles that you could ever have is that when people see what you do, but they don't know who you are. I'm a big X-Men fan, and one of the most interesting characters in X-Men that I see is her name is Mystique. Mystique is a shape shifter. She's able to transform into anybody and almost anything. She can be one person one moment and another person the next moment. Now here's the crazy thing. The problem, the struggle with Mystique is she can be whoever she wants to be, but her struggle is she spends so much time being somebody else that she loses who she is. How many of you out there are just like Mystique? You're being everything to everybody, but in the process, you lost who you are. In the process, you lost your identity. In the process of you being like everybody else and doing for everybody else and helping everybody else, you forgot about you. And the truth of the matter is, that puts you in a dangerous position. Because when you lose you, you lose the very cup you're pouring into everybody else. And so I encourage you, whether you're a father, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're a teenager, whether you're a young adult, you have to be very, very careful not to lose you in the process of trying to be everything for everybody else. And watch this. Watch this. If you watch X-Men, you see Mystique has a choice she eventually has to make. She's best friends with Xavier, but she loves Magneto. Yeah, she's best friends. She's like brother, they're like brothers and sisters with Xavier, Professor X, but she's in love with Magneto. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem. Xavier, Professor X, loves her for her. But Magneto only loves for what she can do for him. And so she makes a decision to go with Magneto, the bad guy who wants to just run humanity and things of that nature. She chooses him, not knowing that he only loves her for what she can do. And many of us are going through life where people love what we do, but don't know us. People see our performance, but they don't know us personally. And believe it or not, there are men who are struggling with this very thing. They give, they give, they give. And the problem is, what do they receive in return? There are fathers out there. And I was watching a video, and it was talking about the relationship, but the man was talking about relationships between fathers and their children, especially fathers and their sons. He said they go through three stages. They start off as their hero. My dad can do nothing wrong. Then they find out he's human, and then they demonize him. But then they grow up and they experience life, and they finally humanize him. They realize that my dad is just a man. He's not perfect, but he's not the worst in the world either. He goes through things. He misses it sometimes. He has great advice sometimes and bad advice other times, but yet he loves me unconditionally. And there are many men who have sacrificed things. There are many fathers who have sacrificed, but yet went through the battles, went through the scars. And the truth of the matter is, to some degree, they lost themselves. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because Father's Day, I mentioned earlier, I was so frustrated because our sound didn't work and our mics online. And so we wasn't able to record the message for us to share the message on YouTube and things of that nature. But I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go live every single day, Monday through Friday, about noon, because I want to get this message out. I want to pour this message into people because I just believe that we have been called to do some amazing things, but many of us are shrinking back. Many of us are holding back for the simple fact that we don't know who we are. One of the things I talked about also was what the authority and the power of a man. A man, especially to his children, can step in a room and change the atmosphere. Things that were going on cease because daddy stepped into the room. He didn't holler. He didn't whoop nobody. His presence commanded his presence commanded respect. His presence commands honor. But sometimes what that can be is, instead of it causing people to follow us as fathers, it can cause our children to fear us. Let me say that again. Instead of it causing our children to follow us, it can cause our children to fear us. And so we have to be able to handle that weight. Whereas you got to be the disciplinarian sometimes, but then other times you got to have those conversations and that dialogue so that they can understand that no matter what happens, daddy only wants the best for you. Daddy is going to be here for you no matter what. But that presence and that authority can cause fear from our children instead of them from following us. And so we talked about there's a difference in the Bible. It talks about do not fear. Second Timothy 1:7, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a love, power, and of a sound mind. But then Proverbs talks about having the fear of the Lord. Those are two different things. When in Timothy, when he's talking about fear, or the Bible says, do not fear, fear is like terror. Fear is you being afraid of the actions of what people might do, even though they haven't done it yet. But when we talk about a fear of the Lord, it is us having a respect and an honor for God, that God, I'm not going to do certain things because I respect you to a high level. And the truth of the matter is, we should give our fathers that same honor and respect. Now, I think I may talk about this tomorrow. There be many people, especially I love asking women this question. Is respect earned or respect given? Is respect earned or respect given? Is it given? I want you just to think about that. I want you just to ponder that, because the thing about it is, many people believe that respect is earned and not given. And I want you to think about this. Is love earned or is love given? Is love earned or is love just should be given? So I want you to think about that. We'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. But I just wanted to get on here, and I pray some men come across. I know some men are going to come across this, and I believe it's going to bless you like never before. Latrice, yeah. Join me tomorrow, Latrice. Join me tomorrow, girl. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah, hey, that's a good answer. When it comes to is respect earned or given, Latrice said both. And then when it says love earned or given, she said given. And you know, a lot of people think, most people think on the other end. Most people think respect is earned, but love is given. And I want to share something with you that's going to blow you away. I'm going to share something with you. Matter of fact, I'm going to come straight from the word, and I'm going to even make sure I put it on the comments and everything, so that way you can see, so you won't think I'm making up something. But yeah, I'm super excited. So we'll be see you tomorrow. We appreciate you for being on here with us. We greatly appreciate you. This is The Shift. I'm Roman D. You remember, one shift today can change your tomorrow forever and make your life all the better. All right, God bless you. You take care. Peace.